They said a football match is 90 minutes. They lied, because the real action, that's in the replay arguments at 2 a.m., the banter that ruins family dinners, and the group chats that never sleep. This AFCON, we're not just watching the matches, we're living everything that comes after. Beyond 90, where the real game lives.
Hi guys, I'm Bobby and
I'm Dion.
And I want to take you through quickly what to expect from the Super Eagles, what we're seeing, and what to expect for the rest of the group stage. This is the starting 11 again, the first game against Tanzania. And Dion, take it away. How did you see the performance? What's your analysis of the performance of the game?
It was an interesting lineup, really. Tanzania were coming into the game as underdogs, overwhelming underdogs. Erichel went with a 4-4-2 formation, and seeing the lineup, you're starting with two very mobile but powerful strikers. So we expected the Super Eagles to pile on the pressure early on, and it started midfield. There were question marks about the quality of performances given how Nigeria fell off in the World Cup qualifier playoffs. But whatever questions that were there ceased from the get-go, because you had Iwobi, who was very instrumental. Iwobi played as a box-to-box midfielder. He was always dropping the tireless work rate, winning the ball back, helping to disrupt, because with the congestion in the midfield, it really disrupted Tanzanian setup. The midfield battle was keenly contested, and Super Eagles were winning most times, and that was something that was really impressive. Iwobi was the star of the show. He was rewarded with a brilliant performance with 2 assists, winning the ball back, running tirelessly, covering ground, and Lookman too. Ademola Lookman, oftentimes, while he looked like he started up on the wing, he ended up playing more centralized in different occasions. And Chukwueze, he did not leave, the biggest mark on that game, but oftentimes you still could see a hard worker. My problem was the defense, in set-piece situations. Yeah. That game showed that the Super Eagles, we don't do our best defending in set-piece situations. That's how we conceded against Tanzania. Okay. Even though there was a very quick response, 108 seconds, the Super Eagles were back, in charge. There were worrying signs, but very few worrying signs. But as a whole, I think the tactical setup matched what the intensity the Tanzanians brought to the game, and were able to, just exert that dominance. And I think the Super Eagles had a good one against Tanzania. 2-1 it finished. The tactics were good from Erichel, and also the managers behind him and whatnot. And yeah, it was a positive sign for a way to start off our AFCON 2025 journey.
So just to touch on what you said, because I noticed that on paper it looks like a flat 4-4-2, but I noticed that when the game started, Lookman drifted in, Chukwueze also drifted. Yeah. So they were operating more like interiors, and because we know that we have 2 strikers that they are comfortable pulling out wide, created. The only thing I had with Chukwueze was kind of like his end product, because he always popped up in good positions, but his end product was not really what he did. And also Zaidu Sanusi's crossing up here wasn't.
I'm not going to be too critical, but yeah, like you mentioned, and that is why I really appreciated Erichel's response in the Tunisia game by those 2 changes, taking them out and tweaking the tactical setup, just gave the Super Eagles another edge against Tunisia. But before we even get to there, you mentioned the 2 weakest link. Yes. Sanusi is not the best with his deliveries. His deliveries into the box. And one thing he has always had is pace, bumping down the flanks. But when you don't have that end product to be able to, you have 2 imposing figures. Yeah. The crosses into the box, the deliveries should be crisp. And you'd expect, because we play a lot of crosses into the box. When you have an aerial threat like Osimhen, you also have Akko Adams, who has that physicality too. These are players that will dominate in the air. So I thought he could have done a lot better, and even Chukwueze too. You understand what he wants to do. Receive the ball in the half spaces, beat him and try to cut him, but it was becoming too predictable. So those changes really that Erichel made ahead of the Tunisia game really affected how the Super Eagles played against Tunisia, but it was good against Tanzania. So
let's move to the Tunisia game now, where this was the shape, and I really appreciate that. Just like we were saying, this was the shape he went. Bruno Imaichi came in to replace the Paul Zaidu Sanusi for the first game, and this change was more tactical than personnel, because what that did is it allowed Lookman the freedom to become the only interior. Yes. So now he kind of had like a free role where all he had to do was just move around.
He was moving
everywhere, and that was too much for the Tunisians to handle. They could not deal with his movement, they could not deal with his pace and his shooting and his finishing. And that's big respect to Victor Osimhen and Akko Adams, because They are two very, very big strikers, but at the
With
same
different
time,
profiles.
And they are very mobile.
Yes.
And their mobility means that Victor Osimhen can always drift out wide. Like the goal that Lookman scored came from Victor Osimhen operating kind of like in the half space. After linking up with the movie, we see him in the half space. And Lookman was the one that got into the box and finished off.
Crashed into the box late,
and finished off. So I feel like moving forward, Eric Shell might have found some sort of a joker card with Lookman, where he realizes, listen, if I play him as my major interior and give him that free role, I have a workhorse in Onyeka, I have a workhorse in Ndidi, I have somebody that will go up and down in Iwobi. Iwobi is also a little bit creative to go with his work, but I have enough people to cover up for the freedom that I give to Lookman, and Akko Adams and Osimhen are always going to be targets up front. The only downside to that is we might not see the amount of bombing forward that we saw from Zaidu, from Onyemaichi, or from Osai, but it also gives a bit of defensive security, because I thought in the 75 minutes that we played before they got their goal from a set piece, we absolutely dominated them. They didn't have a sniff
in the midfield, in every phase of play.
They did not have any sniff, because as much as we're physically imposing, we're also tactically better, and Shell had won the tactical battle out of everything. So I feel like moving forward, I feel like Shell may just have found the starting level. Granted, we might not see it in the third game, because obviously we're going to have to rotate. We are qualified, we're most likely table toppers, we're going to have to rotate against Uganda. But moving forward, I think that this is what we'll see from the Super Eagles. Very balanced, everybody playing their right position. It will be thriving. Didi getting a goal from a set piece, which we get to see.
International
we get to see him use his height. Onyeka, with Onyeka, what you get is walk 2-4-7, chase everybody up and down. Ajayi and Basi are beginning to have a bit of an understanding with each other. Osai Samuel is delivering okay performance, not necessarily fantastic, but he's doing the right job. And Nwabali is just being Nwabali, basically. So,
with that
being said, we are through to the next to the knockout stages, and
with a game to spare.
We didn't get to do calculations this time. We didn't get to do that calculator and say Nigeria beats and this person just. So that's a good one on the Super Eagles. Moving forward, we have to play Uganda next, and we expect a good number of rotations for this game, because we are through already. But who are the players that you see that you want to see, in this third match?
There are a couple of them. There's one of them in midfield, Fisayo Dele Bashiru, who plays for Lazio. I would, expect him to, get to start, probably just get some minutes in, and not be so rusty. You also have some of the new players, new additions to the squad, the likes of, Akin Samiro, who plays in the Serie A, also like Pisa, exactly, on loan from Inter Milan.
Yes.
You also have the fullback for, I think, in the EFL Championship. Ryan. His surname is out of me. Probably want to see a couple of those players in, rest some of the figureheads that have actually gotten us to this point. Let these guys get some minutes in too.
And see what they're about.
Even Paul Onuachu, because we have a reliance on Akko Adams and Victor Osimhen, because they complement each other. Different profiles, but they complement each other. If you try to disrupt that duo and put in another striker, you see that they become at odds. So the likes of Paul Onuachu, he was having good numbers at Trabzonspor before this competition. Probably I would like to see him start. So he's a tall, imposing figure.
My question with Onuachu, if we could just go back to the formation against Tanzania. My problem with Onuachu now, or my question with Onuachu now, when Onuachu comes in, do you still want to see this shape being kept? Do you feel like this is probably a position where Dele Bashiru would do, seeing that is a midfielder with an eye for a goal, where he can do the most damage? And do you think if Onuachu starts, do you think you maintain this shape? And who do you think pairs him up from? If I'm going to the assumption that Victor Osimhen and Akko Adams are going to be rested.
It's not going to be easy, to be honest. I would say if you want to play a system with Onuachu and let him fly, you have to play with a 4-3-3. Because he's not as mobile as these two individuals. He's a player who he works best with positional awareness. He gets into those positions exactly, and you now need pace on either flank. So you put probably maybe a Lookman, if a Lookman gets started, or maybe Moses Simon, or even Chidera Ejuke. Ejuke is not the fastest, but we know he's quick with his feet. He's tricky. You play two wingers on either side of him. He's a tall, imposing figure. Load those balls into the box and wait for that positional awareness, and have someone, at least an astute midfielder play behind him with that sort of creativity that can pass him the ball. That sort of 4-3-3 would work better with Onuachu, not this sort of system.
All right, so moving on, if we just move on. We have the list of AFCON winners, and we have our darling Nigeria here stuck at 3. Do you see us matching Ghana? It is this is a cause for worry because Ghana has more AFCONs than us.
And Ghana not even in the
And
competition.
they're in the competition, so this might be an opportunity for us to
Even more troubling than Ghana, their last triumph I think was in the 80s, so it's been a very long time.
That's very worrying. So this might be an opportunity for Nigeria to catch up with Ghana. Do you see us going all the way?
It's tough. It's tough. I think we can. Do I see it? I'm not sure, but I think we can. We should. We have a squad. We have one of the best squads.
You need to stand up confident. I know you're confident.
Because I think the inner patriotic Nigeria just started coming alive. Like we should be at the final. Probably we got to the final of the last edition. Maybe we should do one better and even go ahead to win it.
Yes. That's what the boys will be looking to do, to go ahead and see if we can get to the number of AFCONs that Ghana have. We're looking at the African top scorers now in the history of AFCON, and there is no active player here. That's really worrying. We have Samuel Eto'o, who's an African legend. We have Poku. We have Rashidi Yekini,
of blessed
memory. Of course, Patrick Mboma, who terrorized Nigeria a lot during his days. Didier Drogba, African legend, of course, and Malumba from Congo, and of course Thierry, and of course the Tunisian Santos. So, what does this tell you about the current set of centre forwards that are coming out of Africa? Seeing this, that none of them have even had up to like 10
it's worrying and disappointing, really. But you look, take a player like Osimhen now, he's had more offside goals at the AFCON than actual goals. About 5 goals have been ruled off before he eventually got, I think, his first or second.
Yes.
And that was the game against Tunisia. Yes. The closest person who is active right now at the AFCON is Riyad Mahrez.
Okay.
He's
around 9?
Yeah, I think he's gotten about 3 or 2 goals so far at this current AFCON. He's been basically the go-to man for Algeria. I think about 9 AFCON goals now. He scores 1 more.
He gets into
that list.
Okay.
So Riyad Mahrez, obviously, I think before the end of this tournament should be on this list. But if you look at other forwards too, there are forwards that are missing. Côte d'Ivoire did not bring Haller. Unfortunately, he got injured before the competition commenced. Who do Cameroon have? Who do Algeria have? Baghdad, Bounedjah. He was the one that won them the last, but then he doesn't have this number of goals. So
the likes of Mohamed Salah, who is obviously a world beater, and also Sadio Mane for Senegal, who's been there for years. It's quite worrying that they haven't cracked up to 10 AFCON goals so far. I understand that most times they are generally seen as wingers in Salah and Mane, but you will think that for the longevity they've had for their career, they should be in and around
this
10,
list,
10, 11, because not everybody here is a full center forward. Santos was not a center, was more of an attacking midfielder. I remember Abu Trika for Egypt, that was terrorizing, who was an attacking midfielder as well. But we just hope that the goals start to come in for our strikers in Africa, and we see, maybe in the next 2 or 3 AFCONs, we see
active players on the list.
And we'll see somebody overtake Samuel Eto'o.
Osimhen is chasing history, maybe.
However long that might take. So that brings us to the end of this episode with you guys, and we're looking forward to the Super Eagles game against Uganda. And like we said, we expect to see the likes of the young players, the Akinsemeros, the Lawa, and let's just see what they're about, and then go Super Eagles.